Could everybody please take their seats? Is this on? Could everybody, it's not on? Could everybody please take their seats? Jeez. Could everybody please take their seats? Can you put that here? I do want to get, I think we'll start by just sort of. Welcome, everyone. Could you please take your seats? David Horowitz wants to leave. Sit down. Welcome, everyone. If we could ask you to please take your seats. David and Naomi can sit over there. Okay. Wow. Welcome, everyone. I'm Karen Kramer, and before I begin, I'm going to ask Rabbi to stand up, look at this room, and take it in. It is all because of you. I might have driven everybody crazy with details, but everybody tonight is here to honor you, and I think you should really take that in. So thank you all for being here to honor Rabbi Wahlberg's 20 years at Temple Sinai and for your generous support of our synagogue. It is unbelievable to see so many of our Temple Sinai community here in person. It's been a very long 2 years. Bill and I feel very privileged to be able to chair this event as we have shared many Simchas, family Shabbats, and a trip to Israel with Adam and Shira. We want to thank our committee members who worked tirelessly to make tonight so special. Their names are listed on the program.
My first suggestion for tonight's program was a roast. I actually had some good material. Regrettably, I didn't get very far with that idea. We actually have a great program for you all tonight. To begin our evening, we are pleased to invite Rabbi Jeff Wahlberg, our rabbi's father, and Cantor Neil Newman, our rabbi's father-in-law, to begin our program. Thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you how proud we feel or how delighted we are to be here and to participate in this event, which for us is a kind of family historic event, but congregational historic event at the same time, to feel the warmth that surrounds our son, Rabbi Adam, and to enjoy being with him and his family, Shira, and all the extended members of the family who are here, celebrating 20 years, which is beyond our understanding, our comprehension, but which is for us a Shehechianu moment. Thank God for permitting us to be alive to celebrate this wonderful occasion. We as parents and as family, we who are professional colleagues, we're so proud of you, Adam, and so happy for you, especially on this night, but every night, as we are for our other children who are here and their families and our grandchildren. I must say, as I was sitting here, I was thinking there must be some good stories that begin a rabbi and a cantor went into a shul. But I'm not going to tell them, even if I knew them, because I think this isn't a night for joking around. Having served as a congregational rabbi for 4 decades myself, I well know how demanding and challenging, as does Judy know, and as Shira knows, how demanding and challenging the role of the rabbi can be. And I know that as I say this, I speak not only for the two of us, but I speak for Dina as well, for Jerry, Zichrono Livracha, for Neil and Serenay. So we welcome this honor too for our son and our son-in-law. This evening, which is so well deserved and so well received and so well earned, it has very special significance for us, as it does for him and for his family, as it does for Temple Sinai. Now, I must begin by admitting that I was asked to pivot to something else, which you'll understand in a moment. Not just to speak about our son, but to speak about another matter which is part of the Jewish world that is recognized tonight. Some years ago, I read that a Jew is someone who lives in two times at the same place. And so it is that as we are celebrating here this evening with our son and his family, we're also aware that this night represents something quite different in the Jewish calendar, something which touches the Jewish world and our lives individually and collectively. It is a night for the Jewish people, not just for Temple Sinai, because it relates to a different time and a different place and different commitments. This day is Memorial Day, or it ends Memorial Day in Israel, Yom HaZikaron, the day on which the Israelis recognized the price that they paid for the establishment of the Jewish state in our lifetime, the sacrifices that people made in order to establish the state of Israel and to protect and defend it every single day. The Jewish state, which represents so much for all of us, which we call Atchalta de Geula, the beginning of the redemption, when it was established in the lifetime of many of us who are here this evening, the miracle of the Jewish state in our lifetime. So we begin this evening not only with personal celebration, but with public acknowledgement, which acknowledgement that the Jewish state is part of our lives too. And there is a transition taking place in Israel from this Yom HaZikaron, this day of memorial, to tomorrow, which is already begun in Israel, which is the beginning of Yom HaAtzmaut, the day of the celebration of the establishment of the Jewish state in 1948. We remember and we cherish those who brought it about, and we do so with the El Malei Rachamim, which will be led by Chazan Cantor Neil Newman, remembering those whose lives were given so that the Jewish state might exist. Please rise.
Yizkor Elohim et nishmat kol achinu v'achiyotenu b'nei Yisrael sheikrivu et nafshotehem b'derech le'akamat b'dinat Yisrael ובהגנתה וכל אלה שנטבחו במעשי חבלה בעבור שאנו מתפללים ביד אזכרת נשמתם אנא נזכור יולם את גבורתם ומסירותם ותמימותם ותהיינה נפשותיהם צרורות בצרור החיים ותהי מנוחתם כבוד, צבא שמחות את פניך, נעימות בימינך נצח, ונאמר Amen. May God remember the souls of all those of the house of Israel who sacrificed themselves to establish the state of Israel, or who have perished in its defense, and those slaughtered in the acts of terror. In their memory, we pray that their bravery, their dedication, and their innocence be with us throughout time. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life. May they be remembered with honor, and may they rest in peace at your right hand forever. And we say, Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. And now we move in a different direction. We move into a celebratory direction, the celebratory mode. In Israel, it's Yom Ha'atzmaut, and we will recognize the State of Israel for its establishment with Hatikva later in the program. The miracle of the centrality of the Jewish homeland in our time, which has played such a sustaining role historically and contemporaneously, which intersects with our celebration here this evening. Judy and I, of course, carry the longest memories of the gentleman you call Rabbi Adam. Those memories which extend even before us because he carries the names of his great-grandparents in his name and the memory of his grandparents as we do, all of whom would be so proud and so happy this evening. Not only do we love him, but we love observing him as we watch him in his rabbinic role. Noting with pride and with pleasure his professional skills, his attention to congregational needs, his patience. I don't know where he got the patience, but he didn't get it from me. His ability to listen and to respond with kindness and tenderness and sweetness, his Menschlichkeit, his fulfillment of the role as prophet and priest, of preacher and teacher, of pastor and friend, of guide and counselor, his personal qualities of caring and compassion and honesty and integrity and intelligence, his commitment to people and to the Jewish people, his soothing temperament, and of course his humor. He is Lev Tov. He is sincerity with a good heart. And as the ark itself was described, Tochoch Hevaro, inside and outside, he's a beautiful person. And so we are exceedingly happy for you and proud of you every single day. He is a pastor and he is a teacher in deeds. He is a model to all. All the elements which Temple Sinai has come to respect and to appreciate, because of which he has helped you to become enriched, because of which we are enriched. There is a midrash, a rabbinic insight, which teaches that a leader is someone who looks in the mirror and sees the future. That's your rabbi. In many senses, dedicated, committed, friendly, funny, loving. So Adam Chazak Baruch, may you be strengthened and blessed. You are our prism and Temple Sinai's mirror. May you be strengthened together with Shira and Tamar and Hannah. May God's presence continue to be reflected in you and through you. We treasure you, we love you, we celebrate you. May you continue to bring blessing to all who know you and whom you lead. And I would conclude with the words which we have recited to you and for you every week since you were born, every Friday night when we're together or long distance. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God shine forth from within you and illumine for you a path in life. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you continue to be an instrument of God, and may you be blessed with peace. As we all say, Amen. Now, my pleasure to again introduce your distinguished, our mechutin and your distinguished father-in-law, Chazan Neil Newman.
The founding of our beloved state of Israel took place on the 5th of the Hebrew month of Iyar, 74 years ago. Tomorrow, Yom Ha'atzmaut, this evening also, tomorrow is the 5th day of May. The 5th of May, the 5th of Iyar are a perfect match. Rabbi Adam Wahlberg in Temple Sinai, right on target, also a perfect match. Rabbi Wahlberg is not my flesh and blood, so as his father-in-law, and along with Serenay and Dina, I feel totally comfortable saying that Adam is the perfect match of a son-in-law. And without any hesitation whatsoever, he's also the perfect husband of our daughter Shira and the devoted father to Tamar and Hannah. Beyond that, our family journal ad says it all. Kind, patient, generous, and modest. In short, the definition of a mensch. We are so thrilled to join with all of you here this evening to celebrate your rabbi's 20th anniversary, along with Israel's 74th birthday. Mazal Tov. We'll ask you please to rise and join with me in singing the Hatikvah. Zion, Yerushalayim.
Wow, a bit humbling to be on the bema with 4 rabbis and a cantor. So, when you may notice Nathan's name on the program, when Jill told us we had a minute to introduce the speaker, and Nathan said he'd start with a joke, I said, I can do this myself, so that's what we're doing, okay. So I want to thank everyone who worked so hard to create this fabulous event to honor our beloved Rabbi Adam. Thank you also for asking me to introduce tonight's speaker. I am especially thrilled, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Rabbi Alan B. Lucas was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and is a graduate magna cum laude Phi Beta Kappa from the University of Cincinnati. He received his rabbinic ordination from the Jewish Theological Seminary in 1978. Rabbi Lucas, who will be retiring this June after 45 years as a pulpit rabbi, having served congregations in Southfield, Michigan, Ventnor, New Jersey. Some of you may know him as the rabbi down the shore, an expression I never heard of in Wisconsin. And for the past 28 years as senior rabbi of Temple Beth Shalom in Roslyn Heights, New York. He has served on the Committee for Jewish Law and Standards, voting on important halachic decisions for the conservative movement, and authored many articles, including a chapter in the Jewish calendar, on the Jewish calendar in the Observant Life. He has deep roots in and an abiding love for Camp Ramah and the Poconos, where all 3 of his children attended, and now 7 of his 9 grandchildren, and where he taught for 7 summers in the 1990s. Rabbi Lucas is highly regarded, and this paragraph was written by his daughter Dina, highly regarded for his relevant, resonant, and engaging sermons, his dynamic teaching style, his mentorship of those coming up in the rabbinate, his rigorous collaboration with his contemporaries, and his sage guidance to everyone in his midst. Alan is married to Edie, who is also here tonight, sitting in the front. And now I can tell you why I'm especially thrilled, because Nathan and I are incredibly blessed to have loved Alan and Edie for almost 20 years and to share 4 of those 9 grandchildren. I am pleased to introduce our Mechutin, Rabbi Alan Lucas, who told me to be sure to say that he loves Rabbi Wolberg, and he's so happy to be here tonight.
It may be nice for me to be here tonight, but you get the Relis's all and their wonderful family all year round, so that's... And you know why they're called in-laws is because by law she's obligated to say nice things about me. When I was a kid growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, back in the 50s, it was customary that many synagogues had 2 letters before their name, KK. Anyone remember that custom? I was raised in a wonderful conservative shul in Cincinnati whose name was not Adith Israel, but KK Adith Israel. And as I said, at that time, this was very common. There was KK B'nai Israel, KK Agudeth Shalom, and on and on. And it wasn't until I was older that I learned that KK stood for 2 Hebrew words, Kehila Kadosha. And it wasn't until I was much older that I began to understand the purpose and the wisdom behind these 2 letters. Long before mission and vision statements were popular, every shul had a mini mission statement right there as part of its name. KK, Kehila Kadosha, we were supposed to be, challenged to be, imagined to be a sacred community. This Shabbat, when you come to shul, you will meet this same challenge in the opening words of this week's Torah reading, Kedoshim. God speaks to Moses and says, speak to the whole Israelite community and tell them, Kedoshim Tihiyu, be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to help you celebrate the wonderful occasion of Rabbi Adam Wolberg's 20th anniversary with Temple Sinai. And while we may no longer place KK before shul names, we still read Parshat Kedoshim as a reminder of what a shul is and should be, a Kehillah Kadosha, a sacred community. Over the years, American shuls have dabbled in a lot of interesting experiments. Some built pools, put in gymnasia, others sponsored camps, developed early childhood centers, built beautiful halls to promote kosher parties. We added vodka to our latkes and put pizza in our huts. We've done outreach to young members, old members, single members. We have explored concepts like inclusivity and diversity and egalitarianism and done outreach to interfaith families. To all these Jews, you insisted that not only can their lives be enriched by their association with your sacred community, but your community is holier with their participation. And the one constant during these 20 past years has been your rabbi, Adam Wolberg, keeper of the vision, protector of the flame, guardian of the sacred tradition. Over the years, I've had many occasions when people learn that I'm a rabbi where they share with me some stories about their rabbis. Sometimes they want to complain, but most times they share a fond story of where the rabbi truly touched their lives. And what is remarkably consistent in these stories is that they do not speak of their rabbi as a magnificent speaker or defender of Israel. But what I do hear time and time again is Rabbi so-and-so was there for me when my father died. And when I was going through a difficult time, my rabbi was there for me. He married my children or consecrated a birth or a bar mitzvah. And this, I believe, is the real legacy of any great rabbi. It is the moments when he or she touches your lives in way that endure and transform. Moments of significance and compassion, love and understanding. These are the moments that remain with people, and these are the kind of moments in which your rabbi excels. I suspect that many of you are here tonight because Rabbi Wolberg was there for you when you needed him. He honored you, and now you want to honor him. At some critical moment in your life, he was there. He stood with many of you in the presence of the Torah or the Brit Milah as you named your child or grandchild. At the moment when everything was changing and you'd not figured out amidst all the noise and confusion what it all meant, Rabbi Wolberg walked in and there was meaning and beauty, wholeness. Together you created something holy. I suspect that many of you celebrated the bar or bat mitzvah of a child with Rabbi Wolberg. In the midst of turmoil and growth and maturity, he created a quiet moment of dignity and celebration of significance and, yes, holiness. Some of you stood with Rabbi Wolberg under the chuppah as you married off a son or a daughter. There are few moments in life more exquisite than that. And although it has become somewhat popular in a profane world to say, we don't need a rabbi, the children have a friend who became a universal life minister. He'll perform the ceremony. You, at some level, understood that by inviting Rabbi Wolberg, you wanted more than a college roommate. That's why the marriage ceremony is called Kiddushin, as he created a sacred moment to celebrate love and harmony and peace and Kedusha. Too many of you probably sat with Rabbi Wolberg in tense hospital rooms, waiting for news that too often was not what you wanted to hear. But when Rabbi Wolberg walked in, it was so different than the visit of any doctor or relative or friend, as he prayed with you, and yes, sometimes even said vidui, the final confessional prayer. The sadness was not banished, but with his presence, the hopelessness was. As holiness entered the room and a larger tableau came into view. And how many times over the past 20 years has Rabbi Wolberg stood with many of you at the graveside as you mourned the loss of a loved one? How many times has he walked into your homes when tragedy struck and death robbed you of that which was most precious in your life? And at that darkest moment of your life, when all seemed hopeless and bereft of meaning, Rabbi Wolberg walked in with our sacred tradition at his side, and when he left, after the funeral, you were able to feel, if not yet hope, if not yet peace, if not yet wholeness, you were able to feel holiness and the possibility that there would be a tomorrow. KK Temple Sinai. Kehila Kadosha Temple Sinai. That's who you are. You are a sacred community. Holiness is our business. Always was, always will be. Here are the things I hear when people speak about your rabbi. He's such a good soul, a gentle soul, nice to everyone, has time for everyone, such a good person. And I suspect I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, and more importantly, anything you haven't already experienced. I was glad when I saw on your website the following quote: Rabbi Wolberg's gentle manner, his thoughtfulness, and his sense of humor make him a wonderful teacher and role model. Through his teaching and preaching, Rabbi Wolberg transmits and interprets conservative Judaism's nuanced approach to Jewish law, Jewish theology, and Jewish living. Those are your words, not mine. But I was glad to see that you appreciate the role your rabbi has succeeded in playing in making Temple Sinai a Kehila Kadosha. From time to time, Rabbi Wolberg calls me to discuss issues where he seeks another opinion. And I always smile to myself when he calls. Because do you want to know who I called when I had to make a significant decision in my rabbinic career? His father, Rabbi Jeffrey Wolberg. So I'm always glad to return the favor. I would be remiss if I did not mention his life partner, Shira, and two wonderful children, Tamar and Hannah. Being a rabbi is truly a team sport. More than any other profession I know of, a rabbi's family is a refuge and a place to recharge. In the old days, they might have spoken of the woman behind the man, but with Shira and Adam and Tamar and Hannah, it's the women who stand with this man and give him the love and strength that helps make him so special. Shira gets more credit than most of you can imagine for Rabbi Wolberg's success and high regard as a rabbi. There were countless times when she kept him from making the calls to some of you and saying things that in retrospect it was better that he did not say. And many times she made him make the calls to say the things that needed to be said. When he came home dejected and defeated, Shira reminded him why it was that we do this and made sure he did not give up. And when he came home feeling quite pleased with himself, she was always there to remind him that he was not nearly as good as many of you think he is. And if a rabbi needs a good partner to be a successful rabbi, he needs a good shul as well. This is a shidduch. And like any good shidduch, it takes two. I have come tonight to vouch for the chassan and remind you what a wise choice you made in choosing Rabbi Wolberg to be your rabbi. But I also want to remind the chassan what a beautiful kala, what a beautiful kehillah he has. Truly a kehillah kadosha. There's a text in Pirkei Avot in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Prachya, Aseh lecha rav uknei lecha chaver. Find yourself a rabbi and get yourself a friend. These, for Rabbi Yoshua, are two essential elements for a good life. Most commentators assume that these need to be two separate people. You need to find a good rabbi, and you need to find a good friend. But how fortunate is this community to have found both in the same person. I would like to end with a blessing as one rabbi to another. For one rabbi on behalf of his congregation that clearly loves him so much. And I would like to adapt the words of one of my favorite Hebrew songs. The words were written by Rachel Shapira, noted Israeli poet. Ma avarecho b'meh yivarach, z'hayeled sha'al hamalach. What blessings can I give you? With what can he be blessed? Asked the angel. And he blessed him with a smile bright as light, and he blessed him with big observing eyes, with them to catch every flower, every living creature or bird, and with a heart to feel what he sees. Ma avarecho b'meh yivarach zeha'elem sha'al hamalach. What blessings can I give? What can he be blessed with? Asked the angel. And he blessed him with legs to dance and a soul to remember all tunes and a hand to collect shells on the beach and an ear attentive to old and young. Ma evarecho b'meh yivarach zehagever sha'al hamalach. How do we bless this rabbi, this friend, this man who has been such a source of blessing for so many of us? A man who has already been blessed with so much. What an incredible community he has crafted. Ma avarecho b'meh yivarach. Adam, you have already been blessed with so much. So here is my blessing for you. May your good fortune and ours only continue. Adam and Shira, may all your blessings continue for many years to come, and may we continue to be blessed by you for many, many years to come, by your guidance as our rabbi and by your love as our friend.
Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight to help us celebrate 20 years of warmth, community, and a deep love of Judaism and Israel that is synonymous with Rabbi Wolberg. On behalf of the Temple Sinai Board of Directors, I would like to thank our event co-chairs, Karen and Bill Kramer, as well as our entire planning committee, and Jen Thomas, our Vice President of Fundraising, for facilitating such a wonderful tribute to Rabbi Wolberg. I would also like to thank our entire professional staff for their help in making tonight's program a resounding success. Rabbi, I would personally like to thank you for the many years of faith and friendship you have shared with me, and for the years of partnership working together on behalf of our congregation. And in just a minute, and I'll apologize for some technical difficulties, I'll also ask you to enjoy a video tribute to Rabbi Wolberg.
something nice. It's really hard. So we're going to break the mold. I'm sorry we're kind of dressed casually here today, but if you remember, I gave you the shirt off my back, so I have no shirt to wear. All the years that you've been gone, we have not thought any more of you or any less of you. And we can't believe that you've been at a synagogue for 20 years. Truly, they'll finally figure it out, and then, of course, you'll ask me for another shirt. In the meantime, know that we love you, and there's so many things to say, but I'm sure other people feel the same way.
Wishing you all the best.
The best, the best, the best. And there are the dogs saying, Amen. Amen.
It's now my pleasure to call up my friend and colleague and our rabbi and our teacher, Rabbi Adam Wahlberg. Whoever I talk to, when I tell them that I'm a rabbi at Temple Sinai, the first thing they always say is, Rabbi Adam Wahlberg, he's such a mensch. Yes, this is true. You are a mensch. You are a good person, a person of integrity and honor that people admire and desire to emulate. But being a mensch is an attribute that I think that people would hope that every rabbi would be, but that's not always the reality. However, you, Adam, Rabbi Wahlberg, are a mensch. You go above and beyond. You're patient and caring. You obsess about the little details, even the grammar, because you care. You care and you want to make sure that everyone feels included. You are a teacher and a friend, not only here at Temple Sinai, but you continue to impact the larger community for good. So it's my pleasure this evening to present you with several letters of congratulations and thanks written by various local and national organizations and leaders who have benefited from your impact as a rabbi. So I hope you enjoy reading these beautiful words of appreciation from the Chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, the Rabbinical Assembly, the Philadelphia Board of Rabbis, the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, the Buxman Kehillah, Camp Ramah, Perlman, and Barak. I hope everyone will have the opportunity, as well as there's a table outside with these letters as well, that I hope you get the chance to just take in after our program this evening. But what surprised me the most when I was reading these letters myself is that no one used the word mensch to describe you. And why is that? Well, I think it's because there's so much to say about your impact on this community. Our colleague and friend, Rabbi Joel Seltzer of Camp Ramah in the Poconos writes, years ago, a young Rabbi Adam Wahlberg attended his first summer at Camp Ramah in the Poconos. And because he did, our camp community, Temple Sinai, and the Jewish community of the world is richer for it. Adam is himself a penina, a pearl. He is unfailingly kind, someone who radiates with a light and warmth of Torah he embodies through his life and teachings. Adam, Shira, Tamar, and Hannah, Temple Sinai, and the Philadelphia Jewish community, we are so lucky to have you radiate your light and kindness in all that you do. Here's to many more years together. And tonight is simply our way of saying thank you for all that you and continue to do for us. And as a token of our collective gratitude, it's my pleasure to present you also before you. If you want to reach in there and take out, there's a beautiful piece of art that you can display and show to everyone. It is a hand-sculpted piece of work that's made in Israel. This dove on an olive branch was created from an actual Qassam rockets that landed in southern Israel. The Israeli artist Yaron Bab has transformed an instrument of war into an object representing tikva, hope, and a peaceful future. And so tonight, as we transition from Yom HaZikaron to a day of celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut, this beautiful sculpture from rockets into roses is symbolic of what you do as a rabbi, and you do for our community, that when we experience hardship or experience fear, you guide us and help us to find meaning and hope in the future. So Mazal Tov and Toda Rabbah. And now I'm going to turn things over to our mensch, our penina, our pearl that illuminates our community, Rabbi Adam Wahlberg. Thank you.
Wow. Not since my bris have so many nice things been said about me. And I remember feeling very uncomfortable then as well. This is a night that I've been looking forward to for a long time, at least since the banners and lawn signs with my picture began to be displayed on the synagogue grounds. Do you remember the scene in the remake of A Star is Born when Lady Gaga walks out onto the terrace of her Hollywood hotel and sees her picture on a tremendous billboard? I can tell you that driving up Limekiln Pike and seeing my face on a poster is nothing like that. Although it could have been if Bradley Cooper had accepted my invitation to be here tonight. The first time I drove up to the synagogue and saw that poster, I thought, why didn't they use the picture of me from 20 years ago? I had more hair then. In any event, I'm grateful that you are all here tonight. There are a number of people deserving of thanks this evening, and I'll begin with Jen Thomas, our Vice President for Fundraising. She sold me on the idea of being tonight's honoree by sharing with me a vision of an event that more than 2 years of COVID restrictions would now allow us to bring the congregation together for celebration. And that's really what I wanted to see. Temple Sinai members coming to the synagogue in tremendous numbers without high holiday tickets. I am beyond grateful that so many of you are here tonight, not because I would have started to doubt my worth as a rabbi, if only Rabbi Lucas and Karen Kramer were in the sanctuary with me, but because I'm thrilled that on a Wednesday, when the 76ers are trying to win a playoff game, no less, you wanted to be in the synagogue with fellow Temple Sinai members. The last 2 years have been challenging in a multitude of ways, and synagogues like ours have done our best to adjust, to create virtual experiences with Zoom classes and live stream services. And while we have been, I would say, very successful in meeting a lot of needs, it's just not the same and not nearly as impactful as the in-person opportunities to be together, face to face, shoulder to shoulder, hug to hug, that make being part of a congregational family so valuable. And we, the professionals and lay leaders who have worked hard to ensure that the synagogue remained viable and provided worthwhile offerings, even if online, at a certain point we began to wonder if people would ever come back to the building. Would the new norm be logging in rather than coming in? Tonight's event is a very good sign, a reminder that we have people who want to be in the synagogue and are excited to come back for opportunities to celebrate, to enjoy each other's company, to be inside their Jewish home. I can't tell you how grateful I am for your being here tonight, as well as for the sponsorships and the donations that have made this a major fundraising success. Now, I know not all of you came this evening simply to be with other Temple Sinai members. Some of you came because you are related to me and feared that it would be awkward when we got together for Thanksgiving if you hadn't come. Seriously, though, I appreciate how fortunate I am to have my siblings, Rachel and Jeremy, here, who just flew up from Atlanta, my uncle and aunt, Larry and Celia Frank, and our cousin, Sarah Sherman, along with her children, Jack, Annie, and Molly. I am grateful for my parents who are here, Rabbi Jeffrey and Judy Wolberg. Mom and Abba, thank you for infusing my life with Yiddishkeit and the joy of being Jewish all the years that I lived under the same roof as you, for a strong Jewish education and summers at Camp Ramah, and for all of the love and support I could have ever asked for. Abba, I hope that you know that I probably would not have become a rabbi had you not inspired me with your eloquence, erudition, and compassion. I saw how people gravitated towards you, and I thought to myself, he's never going to get to the Kiddush table. The congregants admired you and held you in high esteem, but I did and still do even more. Thank you for being my role model and the rabbi that I come to with my questions, because you always have an answer. I'm also grateful to my in-laws, Shira's father and stepmother, Cantor Neal and Sarah Nay Newman, who made the trip from Sarasota to take part in tonight's festivities. You have both been an important part of my life since I married Shira nearly 28 years ago. You are also wonderful role models and have been ever since I entered the family business. My mother-in-law, Dina Ehrlich, is also here and recognizable to many of you who prior to this year were accustomed to seeing her in the sanctuary on the high holy days with her husband Jerry, alav hashalom. Sadly, Jerry passed away in August, and since then Dina has been taking part in our daily minyan in order to say Kaddish. We very much miss Jerry. He and you have been a tremendous source of love and encouragement for me. And I thank you for sharing Rabbi Lucas's sermons with me when you were a member of his congregation on Long Island. For those of you who may not know, Dina and her sister Joy and Joy's husband Bruce all grew up at Temple Sinai. They can be found in the confirmation pictures that we display. Rabbi Greenberg, Zichrono Livracha, was their rabbi, which means that at least in their eyes, I will always be the young rabbi of Temple Sinai. I also want to thank my dear friends, both local and those who traveled significant distances to be here tonight, and my rabbinic colleagues who also are close friends and have honored me by attending the celebration. Shira, Tamar, Hannah, and I are grateful for your presence in our lives, for your support and your friendship. I am most grateful for my professional colleagues here at Temple Sinai, Rabbi Sam, Ari, Shira, Sydney, Miriam, Faith, Edie, Marcy, and Ellen, as well as others alongside of whom I have served over these last 2 decades. Being a congregational rabbi is exciting and challenging, and most worthwhile when you can share in the ups and downs with people whom you respect and who can give you a lift. I have been blessed with terrific partners on the professional side as well as on the lay side. Since I arrived at Temple Sinai in 2002, I've had the good fortune to work with 11 congregational presidents, beginning with Paula Goldstein, and now Jeffrey Goldstein. And if your last name is Goldstein, watch out, you're going to get a call. Each of you have been generous with your time and counsel and have helped me to become the rabbi that I am today, and I valued and continue to value your friendship. Frank, Barbara, Alan, Andrea, Bill, Jeffrey, Toby, and Lauren, you, along with Paula and Jeffrey, have impacted this congregation and me in ways that I hope everyone here can appreciate. I also want to thank Andy Meyer, Zichrono Livracha, for his leadership. There are past presidents who preceded my arrival from whom I have learned and with whom I have shared wonderful relationships, and a great many officers and board members, committee chairs, and volunteers as well. You are all deserving of recognition. I'm almost finished with this portion of my remarks. I thank you for indulging me. I want to express my gratitude to all of the teachers who serve and have served our preschool, infant center, and religious school, and Richie Tabernella and the custodial staff who do yeoman's work. Tonight would not have been possible were it not for the efforts of a fabulous event committee. Their names appear on the back of the invitation each of you received and on the t-shirt that I've been asked to wear at the dessert reception. Would you mind standing for a moment, please, all you wonderful event committee people? Thank you. Thanks. We have all enjoyed tonight the fruits of your labors. Overseeing every detail of the celebration were our event chairs, Karen and Bill Kramer. And let's be honest, Karen, yes. Karen was at every meeting and Bill was fly fishing, or whatever he does in his spare time. Karen and Bill are good friends whom I asked to serve as chairs and who said yes because they feared eternal damnation if they said no to their rabbi. Karen and Bill, I'm going to call you tomorrow to tell you how fabulous tonight was and to see if our friendship is still intact. I'm incredibly grateful tonight for the presence of Rabbi Allen and Edie Lucas. I first met Rabbi Lucas when I was working for Hagesher Region USY and staffed a convention down the shore hosted by Congregation Beth Judah in Ventnor. Rabbi Lucas was the congregation's rabbi at the time, and he was exceptional, warm, engaging, a gifted orator, the full package. Years later, he would become the rabbi of Temple Beth Shalom in Roslyn, and by dint of both family connection and through friends, including my dear friend, Rabbi Adam Feldman Zichrono Livracha, who worked alongside Rabbi Lucas, he became a rabbi I sought out for advice and counsel. Alan, I am indebted to you and Edie for your time, your guidance, and your friendship, and now and forever for having schlepped to Drescher in order to say nice things about me. Your kind words made the celebration all the more special. I was afraid you were going to roast me. Now I can breathe a sigh of relief. Lastly, but certainly not least, I want to thank my daughters, Tamar and Hannah, who are not here tonight, although they appeared on screen. They are in Israel this semester. We had the good fortune to celebrate Pesach with them in Israel just 2 weeks ago. And I will express my incredible gratitude to Shira for love and support beyond measure. As the other clergy in the room will attest, this can be a demanding profession. We love what we do, otherwise we couldn't do it. And even then, we could not do it without having someone we love and who loves us by our side. I am blessed to have you, Shira, as my partner and my confidant, my closest friend, my shoulder to lean on, and the person who helps me to see things more clearly. 20 years at Temple Sinai, 27 years in congregational life. I told you this would be an adventure, didn't I? Thank you for being my traveling companion. If you had told me back in July of 2002 that 20 years later I would be standing here reflecting on 2 decades of being this congregation's rabbi, I don't think I would have believed you. Yes, it was my hope to make this my long-term home, but who can predict such things? Rabbi Greenberg, Aleva Shalom, and Cantor Chaitovsky each spent 50 years at Temple Sinai, and I marvel at that type of longevity. How did they manage to accomplish that? Synagogue life, Jewish life in America, and society as a whole, they all changed so dramatically over the half-century that these 2 men led our congregation. I'm sure that they adapted as needed and in the many ways that the congregation required. Over the last generation, it feels as though the process of change and the amount of change in our society has accelerated. When I arrived here, I had a cell phone, and all I could use it for was making phone calls. Can you imagine? Synagogues have evolved and now require tech experts on their staffs and a social media presence. These were not things that were being discussed when I was in rabbinical school in the 1990s. Our teachers gave us the tools that they could, but they knew that our most valuable education would come once we began working in our chosen fields. I had the privilege of learning from an extraordinary clergy team in Northbrook, Illinois, with whom I served for 7 years before coming to Drescher. And the gentleman who was roasting me was Cantor Steve Storr, who I worked with for 7 years. And what I learned from them was the importance of connecting with people through all of the avenues that a congregational life provides: teaching, preaching, counseling, preparing individuals and families for celebratory milestones, being with people during illness or when they have suffered a loss. This is the foundation upon which I've tried to build my rabbinate at Temple Sinai. And if you have attended a class that I taught, I hope that you learned something of value, but I also hope that you felt that our relationship was enhanced. If I spend time with you in preparation for a baby naming or a bat or a bar mitzvah ceremony, I hope that you enjoyed the celebration of that milestone, and I also hope that our friendship, our connection, deepened. If we travel to Israel or to Morocco together, I hope that you will remember that trip for a lifetime. I treasure what we experienced together. And if we haven't traveled to Israel together, let me know if you'd like to. I'm already laying the groundwork for the next trip. We all know that people join synagogues and retain their memberships if they feel a sense of connection to the people whom they encounter here and with whom they enjoy spending time. And the best synagogues are the ones that provide an array of programs, services, events, so that many members have plentiful opportunities to socialize, learn, and grow. And where would you rank your personal relationship with your rabbis? How important is it to you that your rabbi knows you and your family, that he inquires about your ailing parent or wishes you a mazal tov when your child becomes engaged? For 20 years, my goal has been to see you in the synagogue or in George's or at Wawa or on the beach in Ventnor, and to greet you by name, to know the details of your life and to find a way to strengthen our connection and to let you know how much I care about you. Why? Because this is something that I enjoy and value, and that is how I model the type of congregation that we have here in Upper Dublin. Truth be told, I would not have chosen to remain at Temple Sinai for all these years had I not found a warm, intelligent, inquisitive, and passionate, engaged, Jewishly aware, Israel-focused community of people like the ones we have here. You have given as much to me and to my family as I hope I have given to you and yours. What makes me happy to be part of Temple Sinai? I am inspired daily by the number of members who support the Daily Minyan, who volunteer to enrich our Shabbat and Yom Tov services, who participate in the programming offered by Chazak and Men's Club and Sisterhood and our book club, and who join the committees that support our educational endeavors and provide us with opportunities to provide assistance to others both inside and outside of the congregation. I'm happy to boast that this is a congregation that historically and to this day serves as a home to leaders in the Jewish community, the Jewish Federation, Women's League, Hadassah, the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs, the American Jewish Committee, ADL, Orot, JRA, Perlman Jewish Day School, and Camp Ramah, just to name a few. And it is thrilling for me, and it should be for all of us, to see that kind of commitment to the organizations that support Jewish life continue year after year. Our congregation provides its young people with an excellent Jewish education, and our families supplement what we have to offer with USY and BBYO, and by sending children to Perlman Jewish Day School, the Jack and Barrack Hebrew Academy, Camp Galil, Camp Harlem, Pine Mere Camp, Camp Ramah, and on a variety of Israel summer and semester programs. It is this type of Jewish learning, activity, and involvement that makes me proud to be the senior rabbi of Temple Sinai. I hope you feel the same way. I want to close with a brief piece of Torah. Within a series of laws contained in this week's portion of Kedoshim is the well-known commandment, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor or your fellow as yourself. When the great sage Hillel was asked by someone not Jewish to summarize the entire Torah in one sentence, he said, "What is distasteful to you, don't do to another person. The rest is commentary. Now go and learn the commentary." This is a reformulation of the Torah's prescription, and both versions are valuable in informing us what it means to be not just a good Jew, but a decent and upstanding human being. And if we left our discussion off here, dayenu, it would perhaps be enough. But we must not lose sight of Hillel's additional instruction, now go study the commentary. The genius of Hillel's comment is he knew that if his challenger were to simply strive to treat other people kindly, it would be good, but not sufficient. He wanted this man to engage in study, and not on his own, mind you, because that is not traditionally how Jews learn. He would have to find a chevruta, a study partner, and that would likely have happened in the Beit Midrash, the study hall, a room in the synagogue of that day. Hillel knew that this man who had so little regard for Jewish learning and practice that he challenged a sage to teach him the entire Torah while he stood on one foot would likely be transformed if he became part of a Jewish community. To this day, this is the power that synagogues hold for every one of us, allowing us to become part of a community where with others and from others we can learn, connect, engage, aspire, and find fulfillment. I thank all of you for filling that role for me over these last 20 years. May we, with God's help, be privileged to share such meaningful, enriching, and joyous opportunities for another 20 years and beyond. I now have the pleasure of inviting you to join me either outside in the tent or in the Ramat El Auditorium for our dessert reception. And for those who would like to attend the evening minyan, you might be too late, but you can check out the chapel. It might still be running. Thank you all for being here tonight.